Today's youth need teachers, volunteers, and most of all, well, they need you. I'm Doug Edwards, and I'm going to be talking with real youth mentors and students to give you the knowledge you need to be the best youth worker possible. This is Youth Worker on Fire.
Oh, you're trying to bring me down and run me out of town. You're taking what you want, but you can't take my rhythm now. I'm walking to my own beat, just gonna be me. I'm not replicating nobody.
So what happens when Simone Biles, the greatest of all time, says to you at the Tokyo Olympics, I'm done. I'm not going anymore. Because if after I survived that, the last thing that I did, then I don't know how much else I can survive. Like I always say, I'm a cat with 9 lives, but I think that was my 9th and I'm done. And she's like, are you sure? And I was like, says Simone, yes. Jordan Childs, gear up. You're in. You're doing the rest of the meet. I'm not like, I can't do it. The lady says, are you like internally freaking out? She says, coming off of just like internally, but I don't want to freak out in front of the girls. So I kept like as composed as I could. This is a quote from her in that interview I was re-looking at it on YouTube. But the thing that I got from her interview was this. There's one thing she said that is not in this clip, this 9-minute interview, and I saw it on television. She said the recovery, and it was called the twisties. And the twisties are when a gymnast gets up there and all of a sudden he or she, the mind and the body stop functioning together and you're in the air doing the thing that you've trained for years for your body to do. And all of a sudden it says, I don't recognize this. I don't know where I am. And so she was flying through the air with twists and turns, not knowing if she could land it. And then the next event that she did, she knew she was going to have to do. That's what makes people like her the greatest of all time. They could push through things that they know could possibly destroy them. And she said, I had to do one more event or we were just all going to be disqualified. So I did I believe she did the vault one more time or something. She said, I knew I'm going to have to do it this way and it's going to have 2.5 twists to it, but I don't know if I can do that. And the whole world is going to hate me. America's going to hate me. The world's going to hate me. I'm going to let my teammates down. She's thinking all this before she's vaulting, knowing that she's not even going to know where she is in the air when she does this. So she chalks up, she gets ready, she runs, she hits it, she does the best she can. But everyone in the audience that is a gymnast knows that something is wrong and that this isn't right. And you see the video and she lands, but it's very awkward and it's weird. And for most of us that were going, I can't even do one twist. I can do a backflip into the pool. That's all I could ever do. I think I could do a front flip too. But that was it. If it wasn't in the pool, forget it. And she's doing all these twists and turns and all these things, complicated things. She is the GOAT, the greatest of all time. And they're all going, something is wrong. And she lands it and she goes to her coach, I'm done. She said, I could not let my pride stand in the way of allowing my team to get a medal when she was in Japan. When they identified it as a mental injury, she said, we were able to let me step down and the team could readjust and compete without me. I was there, but I was there as their best cheerleader. And I said to them, you can do this without me. And of course, she's the leader. She's the oldest. The other 3 that are going to be up there performing, this is their first time to the Olympics. And she had already been there before. She was the team leader. Well, she's in the 2024 Olympics now, and that's what we're seeing. This interview is going on during that. She's doing floor exercises, and now she's got calf problems, and they tape her up, and I saw her do all of her events just for the qualifying events. There's more events to come over the next days. Scripture says this, do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one receives the prize? So run that you may obtain it. All athletes are disciplined in their training. They do it to win a prize that will fade away. But we do it for an eternal prize. So why am I telling you about Simone Biles? So number one, I think she's amazing. It's just incredible what she does. And then I watched the other ladies, Kylie and I are watching. We were just amazed at the things they do and the stories. Suni Lee also, we'll probably talk about her in another episode, the things that she went through to get to this 2024 Paris Olympics. I tell you this, to talk about yourself, to talk about your students. One is we need to run the race. And I think in student ministries especially, we look at the Olympics, even as Christians. We look at people who do all these great achievements and things, even as Christians, and we almost idolize them more than we do our own placement of pastors and youth workers and volunteers of the gospel, because we're all volunteers when it comes down to it. We volunteered for it, and Jesus picked us up on it to run the race. It's our race is more important than their race. Those races will pass away. That's what Paul was writing about in 1 Corinthians 9:24 through 25. Don't you realize that in a race, everyone runs? Everyone competes. The Olympics, everyone competes. We've enjoyed watching archery and swimming and the incredible stories with these different individuals from different countries. But you need to run the race as if you are competing in the Olympics. You need to stay mentally healthy. Here's what happened with her. She said she knew it was going to be a long road back if she was able to make it back at all. And as I said before, she said in her long interview, it was like I would take one step forward and then 5 back. It was just constant. She said it was a mental injury. She said it came from abuse from one of the trainers. It came from all kinds of events in her life. And I don't know that this is true. And this is where you taking care of yourself mentally and spiritually and physically and all those things. And we tend not to do that in student ministries. And church let us. They don't really even qualify how mentally, physically healthy we should be and look to lead adolescents. That's like going to NASA and say, we don't need our best scientists and engineers because it's just the rocket boosters to get us off of the platform. Are you kidding me? That's where you need the strongest, the most mentally tough, the smartest people in the world is getting those first boosters to get us out of the atmosphere. Our adolescent teenagers, 11 to 25 years of age, they need us to have our best people on it with them, our best people. And the church's words are, many churches, not all, but many are, you know what, they don't pay the bills, we can't do everything for them. We can't afford to get the really good people out there. That came from one of the bigger churches in our area. Couldn't believe that of all places, this multi-facility, multi-location ministry would even think to say something like that, not thinking what a really misled statement that is. We need to put our strongest and put most of our money into those places where our booster rocket, which is our adolescence, to get us to the next level, to get us out of the atmosphere, to get us to the revival and the awakening that Jesus set us up for with the Great Commission. So mentally stay healthy and rest when you need it and even before you need it. Because one thing that I believe that happened to Simone Biles and listening to what she said, she was training. It is constant, it is grueling. It's probably one of the toughest sports out there. I know there's football and all those things, but that's more of a team sport. You're talking individual sports like this. You're talking doing things to your body that take training after training and stretching and injury. You're going to go through injuries. You got to get through them and over them and learn to do things with your body that are not natural. They have to be trained to do them, but it can be done. And I think that all of that pressure, then the other trauma and different things that happened in her life, there probably wasn't enough rest somewhere. But you must run the race because it's more important than the Olympic race. Prepare to run by praying and staying humble. Not subservient, humbly lead and serve with strength. Humble basically would be best characterized by a lion that is in control and doesn't leap at the first sign of his meal that's out there, but someone who is looking and waiting for the right time before they serve, and not being offended easily by people, but being controlled. Yeah, there's times that I have not been that controlled. Train staff and students to run in the Olympics. They should be encouraged. If you've got the talent to go to the Olympics, go to the Olympics. But remember, this is a platform for you to serve God. School, whatever school they're going to, or what university, or whether it's at the middle school or high school, go back and listen to episode 210, Avery Hooper, who started middle school serving as a sixth grader and became one of the main speakers at her graduation. And she became a speaker all along, and she has a speech impediment. She talks about that. Train them to be the best that they can be, and that God wants to use them at a high level at church and in business and in ministry, knowing that they belong there. Help them to be strong. Simone Biles knows that she belongs there. Most of those Olympians know that they belong there. That they go through mental gymnastics of struggles of some of those things, but most of them have trained so hard, and that was their goal. One girl tonight that was in the sand volleyball, she said, I knew since I touched a sand volleyball court and played the first time when I was 8 years old that I wanted to do this for the rest of my life. And now she's in the Olympics. But it was 8 years old. Remind them that they have purpose, and their purpose and calling is greater than the thing that sets them up on a platform, but to tell them not to be afraid of the platform. Paul says in 2 Timothy 4, 7 through 8, I have fought the good fight, I've finished the race, I've kept the faith. Henceforth there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have loved his appearing. Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the inheritance as your reward. You are serving the Lord Christ, Colossians 3, 23 through 24. And here's something really, really amazingly interesting. They have honed this craft. And so the main time, and you can see them on television on all kinds of things, throughout the different trials and competitions before the Olympics every 4 years. But it's not until the Olympics that everybody really stands up and takes notice of whether they're a part of the sports community or not. We're looking, and the pressure that's on Simone and all these people to perform, and especially her, because the people know her story and they're there to support. Snoop Dogg was there. Tom Cruise was there. Lady Gaga sang, I think, in the opening. She was there. All the different sports announcers, the lineup of cameras that they showed, all stacked together. And these are just the cameras that were shooting probably for magazines and for online social medias and all kinds of different things like that. There was probably 50 of them stacked on top of each other, people stacked in one area, not counting the video cameras that are running from all kinds of stations from all over the world. So they've got all these stars, all this family, all these people, a whole country is rooting for them. That's pressure. And they only get this many passes to make it right and to be the best in the world and the most perfect. Therefore, since we are surrounded, this is Hebrews 12, 1 through 2. Therefore, since we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, I'd say that's a great cloud of witnesses, wouldn't you? Let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely. Let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and seated at the right hand of the throne of God. He did all things God the Father told him to do, knowing that there would be a greater reward and knowing that his suffering was necessary. I don't understand all that, even though I can explain it away. like many scholars can, because I've heard them explain all that. But in reality, the ones who admit it say it still is beyond comprehension for the God of the universe to do that for us. And so stay strong, be strong, and pass that strength on to students. And also let them know it's okay to be broken. It's okay to rest. It's okay to decide whether or not you need to be in a place, whether this is the right place or the right thing for you. We're all broken sometimes. We all need rest in order to be strong. But we have a great platform, and God will put you in places that you never thought you would be if you will put Him first. It says pray and about everything. Don't worry about it. In fact, I love this one thing that I listened to this week in a podcast called Erica Taught Me. And I can't remember the therapist, but the therapist had lost her grandfather, I believe it was, or her dad. And then her husband died 6 months later. And about 6 months or a year after that, her stepfather died. It was like, not her stepfather, her father-in-law, her husband's dad. And so all of these things came to her, and I think she was already a therapist at that time. And she wrote 13 things about being broken and the things that you go through when you go through that kind of grief and stuff. And one lady was going, what happens when you have negative thoughts all the time? Because I have negative thoughts all the time. This is Erica, who's running the podcast. She said, well, one thing that we have found that actually works with people is that we tell them to set aside 15 minutes a day to do the worrying. Most people who worry like that, they worry all day long, all day, all evening. She said, and we found that the first week or two, maybe 3, that's you're a little bit hesitant, but each day you find yourself starting to look a little more forward to that 15 minutes somewhere in the evening or afternoon or sometime where you do your worrying. But after that, you stop worrying, you put it aside because you know worrying's not good for you, it's not the right thing. So the things that we need to do, that some things need to be a part of us, we understand that, our body, our mind tries to protect us, but set aside time to let those things happen, to work those things, to go through healing with those things. And be strong and courageous, be like an Olympian, and easier said than done. I'll tell you this, if you've been in any period of time, 5 years, 10 years, or more in student ministry, you have paid a price. You've paid the price over and over and over again, and you have gone through walls that you didn't think you could get through. You've climbed walls that you thought you could not climb over. This is the place to be the strongest, is in student ministry, and to lead our students to victory in Jesus' name and for Jesus' sake. All right, guys, we'll see you next time on Youth Worker on Fire.
You've been listening to the Youth Worker on Fire podcast. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and tell your friends. Also, leave a comment and tell us what you think. Stay tuned for more informative episodes.